And today we're not going to talk politics. We're going to talk to Chef Tom Kuchenreuther and Professor Tom Kuchenreuther and front of the house service restaurateur manager Tom Kuchenreuther, who has also had great success with a new diet. I don't know how new it is, but it was new to him. And he's
Well,
literally lost about 90 pounds. And the reason
80,
I
80,
80 pounds, well, you're at 80,
83,
but always climbing.
83.
83 and always climbing. You look great. I've known you a lot of
Thanks.
years. I've seen you in a lot different shape. So, Tom, I want you to take the lead. I want you to talk about your diet. I don't want to be the one that does all the talking.
Well, yeah, if we got into politics, we probably wouldn't be friends when we were all done.
Well, we've crossed
uh,
that bridge and we know better.
uh, one of the aspects of retiring, where I worked with Jeff, was I wanted to get my health together because I was very heavy, uh, pushing 330, and so I said, well, I'll retire and I'll get my weight in order. Well, you retire and then you don't even, press any of those buttons to lose the weight. And so I just kept for about a year after I retired. I was still maintaining that heavy weight and on all kinds of medicines, statins, blood pressure medicine, and a friend of mine, Randy, a good friend. I grew up with him, college roommates, the whole works. He had started this thing called the carnivore diet, keto, actually, carnivore, leaning on carnivore. And he was showing me what he was eating, and I'm like, man, I could do that. Yeah, I could eat bacon and I could eat ribeye steaks and eggs. I could do that. And of course, he was skinny. He was doing it for his A1C. He had he was pre-diabetic, and he was doing it to get his sugar levels in order. So completely different aspect to it than me, who I didn't have diabetes. I probably did. I never got diagnosed with it, but I wanted to lose weight, and I started watching videos, and he started sending me videos, and I'm like, man, this is just so weird. So I spent the first 3 months just doing the diet and not talking about it at all. And really, I went 9 months without talking about it at all, really, unless I saw you personally. But I didn't do anything online until I hit the 75-pound mark. And then I put out a post about my success on it. But since that time, which has been about 10 months, I have lost the 80 plus pounds. And I'm now no longer on my blood pressure medicine. I am no longer uh, on my statin medicine. My skin conditions have improved. Uh, my focus has improved. I don't have the wheat belly that I once had.
No,
And
you look incredible. I mean, seriously, I'm not just putting I'm serious. I've seen you and I can't believe the dramatic difference.
yeah, it's been pretty incredible. I'm not a big workout guy. You know what the hardest thing is, Jeff, to do when you want to lose weight is working out, and you're heavy, right? And you got knee problems. And so I'm like, man, I got to figure out another way. And this carnivore thing came around. And so I started off more in a ketogenic diet, meaning I did have a few other things besides protein and fat. I did have a few greens and a few fruits, blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, strawberries, avocados, olives. But I kept it to a minimum. And I started off too, like, you know, one of the things is you miss a lot is you miss bread and you miss, the chips, the corn chips and all that stuff that is what did all the damage in the first place.
And you miss pasta.
I miss pasta. I miss all that. And I miss making homemade pasta. Um, but there are many recipes out there. There are many substitutes that got me through the 10 months to where I'm at today that work for me. And my favorite chip now is a chicharron. Yeah, a pork skin. And they have all different kinds now. You just got to make sure you're not eating the wrong ones. And that's really what this diet is mostly about. And that is eating quality food that's been unprocessed. Processed food, seed oils. And what I mean by seed oils, I mean canola, sunflower oil, soybean oil, vegetable oil, corn oil. All those oils are literally damaging. And yes, even the prized gem, peanut oil, is causing havoc in our bodies. It's just a fact. The incidences of various inflammations and different things that are going on in people's lives can be definitely connected to the use of seed oils and how they were pushed on our economy back in 1990, around there, that time. I know they pushed my dad on it, when he was in the, well, back then it was before canola per se. It was in the 80s, and he had to have his open heart surgeries, his bypass surgeries first, and then he had open heart. But they got him on canola oil. No more butter. No more butter. No more eggs. No more eggs. And they put him on low protein, low fat, and they had him on all kinds of medicines. And it didn't really do him good. He still had issues, and
So hang on, let's be clear, because this is a lot to unpack, but let's start one thing. First of all, you are a trained professional in the culinary business. Is that a necessary prerequisite? Like I said, you've not only been a chef, you're a professor at one of the finest culinary art schools in the country.
It was required for my wife that I was a trained culinary professional.
To appease her and her desires of what she wants to eat, right?
Right. I want some fried pork belly. I want some, all these different dishes every night. But yes, I do teach at university level here locally in Orlando. I teach 3 different classes on various aspects of abilities. Start off with beginners, and I get the next generation, the next level after that. I do classical cuisine and all other different things as well. I also teach safety and sanitation. And
so I want to point this out too. Right next door to your classroom is the pastries, is the garniche, and like we call in the restaurant business, we have food swaps. I've worked I worked at a company where I worked at 25 locations every year, and every store, every location nearby us would reach out to us. How does that work? Do you feel the need? How did you put aside the desire, not feel the need to eat these amazing pastries that the next generation of culinary pastry geniuses are cooking and bringing over to you, and then of course you're handing off to them incredible cuisine that you've cooked in your class? How do you feel about how does that work?
It works terrible. No, here's what happened. I just started the diet, and then we went on a trip to California during the summer, during a break that I had. And we get to California, and we're going to Roscoe's Chicken, and we're going to In-N-Out Burger. And I'm like, I'm on vacation. I'm just going to do it. And so my weight loss right off the bat was slowed down by my vacation.
Did it completely reverse, or did you just lose the trend?
No. I lost a little ground. I mean, it wasn't a long vacation. It was a week. So I went right back to it. Thank God. It was it is tough if you don't know how to make special things. I have to admit, the thing that made it easier on me was I was able to make some recipes. I made a cheesecake that was no sugar cheesecake, but it was really good. I made it using allulose, and I used eggs, and I used cream cheese, and I made my crust out of almond flour and ground walnuts and um, allulose, and I did a nice crust for it. And yeah, I had some things, and the fruit. See, my greatest dessert now that I enjoy, I'll say every other day, is Greek full fat yogurt with berries. And that, you're getting a little sugar in those berries. But for those people like my friend who was pre diabetic, the fat in the yogurt, the full fat, you don't want the low fat yogurt, you want the full fat yogurt, helps to break down the insulin resistance. And that's the key to this diet right here, especially for people who are suffering from diabetes, is the fat. I'm going to say this, Jeff, fat in food, I'm talking about animal fat in food, is not the culprit. It is not the bad guy. It is the good guy. Protein, high fat protein is the good guy. I know we've been seeing how, you got to eat some, turkey, and you got all these low fat. I do eat chicken. I do eat some turkey, but it's not my go-to because it's very low in fat. And if I do eat it, I'll gnaw off the cartilage, and I'll use some yogurt or something, sauces to give me back fat, eat avocado, and I'll use those other fats to go in there. Because here's the deal. 2 things with fat. One, it breaks down the insulin resistance. So when you do eat those berries, if you have, insulin problems, the fat helps, and the fiber from the fruit help for your body to digest it. It was always the way that we were supposed to eat our food anyway. Who on earth is going to eat 6 oranges? Well, when you squeeze them all into a glass, now you're drinking 6 oranges without any of the fiber, and you're wondering why you have glucose issues, right? Because we're not used to taking in that much sugar. Fructose is not our friend.
No, fruit itself has a lot of sugar. And so here's, just like you say, and this has always been my confusion, is we kind of, over the years, we found out where we've been misled. So for example, when I was a kid, there was a big plastic bag movement. Save the trees, save the trees. And then everybody was using plastic bags. And then you find out 30 years later, plastic bags don't biodegrade, and they've destroyed our landfills. We're literally in a position where our landfills, they're not percolating. They're just the whole plastic bag movement really hurt our environment. So
I agree.
I'm always wondering, are we misled deliberately? But that's fine, because we could very well be misled deliberately for some gain in some industry. But there's this guy, Tom Kuchenreuther, who just lost 80 something pounds. He didn't do those medications that are being, I think one is
Nope.
Wegovy. Then there was the gastric
Ozempic.
bypass surgery, Ozempic. Then there was the there's a TV commercial, a TV show, a reality show about a guy who does bypass surgery. And the first thing the doctor does is he interviews these people, and he says, "Did you start on your new diet? Because I won't do surgery until you've progressed on your new diet." And they're basically on their new diet for 3 weeks, and then he says, "Okay, great success. Now we'll do the surgery." But you've done it all without any of that. This is important information. That were you just determined? Was it Brandy that convinced you? Is it your culinary background? Because your culinary background's
Well, no,
extensive.
the thing that convinced me was the sheer amount of calories I was ingesting when I was eating bread and pasta and fat and everything all combined. And the sugar, especially the sugar. I have a sweet tooth. That sheer volume of calories for a 330-pound man was huge. So moving to meat, even with fat, moving to meat and eggs, the sheer reduction in calories got me the first 20 pounds immediately. It happened fast. 20 and 30 pounds, it happened like that because the sheer calories I was reducing. Now, it's once my calorie count met my usage, when I hit the 50-pound mark, the weight loss was a much slower movement. The thing about it is, since I've been on this diet and I've been consistent on this diet, I've never went up in weight. I've either maintained or I've lost. Sometimes that period, it'll take a whole month for me to get to the next plateau, another 10 pounds or another 5 pounds. And I'm not worried about it now because I feel so good that I'm just allowing it to take its place. I don't have to look at the scale every day, and I'm staying consistent. So, that was the inspiration, Jeff. That was what, yes, it was my friend. Having someone to do it with was great, but it was seeing that, oh, wow, this really works. Ketogenesis, keto, Atkins, they were talking about it. They were saying, oh, this guy's doesn't know what he's talking about and all this. Well, the body is designed. I got to say this, Jeff. The body is designed this way. Our body will take carbohydrates and sugar that is not used and store it as fat. That's the way the body's designed. If you don't use it, it's used for energy if we need it. If we don't need it, the body is designed to take carbohydrates and sugar and turn it to fat. The body is not designed to take fat and turn it to fat. That's why you can eat fat foods and not gain weight, because fat doesn't turn to fat. Fat is used for its nutrients, and fat is used for the satiability of your, being able to feel like, hey, I feel content. I don't need to eat. That's what the drugs do. The drugs mimic what fat does in the body. It says, oh, I'm not hungry, so I don't eat. Well, that's what fat does. So I believe that the diet's not for everyone. I know that sometimes women have a harder time on the diet. My wife is on the diet, but she needs to eat more often than me. One of the things that pushed the diet forward on me, where I was able to continue my weight loss once I hit that calorie balance, was going into intermittent fasting every day. I fast every day. I know. Well, what do you think breakfast was first designed for? To break the fast, right? Our bodies, when we were traveling in the 1800s and we had to work the fields, or we were going on our stagecoaches or whatever, we weren't eating until we got to a stopping point, and hopefully there was an animal at the other end, and then we'd get a kill at the end of the day, and we'd dress it and we'd get it all ready and we'd eat that meat, right? Well,
So you say break the fast. That's not a play on words. That's the real term. Breakfast is break the fast. That's not just you being a play on words. That is the term. That's the term.
That's where it came from, was
right.
breaking the fast. Right. Our bodies are designed that way. So what happens is you get up, and because I've been eating protein and fat, I can endure now that I broke my carb addiction, I can now go a longer time. I don't have a desire for food when I wake up because I have made my body that way. And when I get hungry, man. I do need to kill an animal when I get hungry. So I'll go in, like on my weekends when the family's all around, I'll go 16-hour fast. I'll get my food in before 8:00 at night, and I'll go till noon the next day, and I won't eat until after 12 noon. That's normal. That's every day. But when I'm working in the kitchens with food and pastry all around me, I don't eat. Sometimes I got to taste, because I can't put out food, but it's very small. And if I need to taste something that's carbohydrate, I know you don't believe me, but I spit it out. I chew it, I find out the texture, the seasoning, and I spit it out because I'm trying to control myself, right? And I've gotten
So
to
no,
the
no, I
point.
believe you. I knew a guy that was doing a food show. He's very good at it, and he said when he first started the food show, he was tasting a lot of chefs' food, and he was gaining. He had gotten huge, and he had to. He realized he cannot eat a plate of food every time somebody prepares something for him. So you can adjust to that. It's just how committed you are, and then you can do it without the medication. So absolutely, I believe you. Yeah, I've seen the success, so I know you're doing it.
Yeah, so the inspiration came from losing that first 20, 30 pounds. And then I was like, man, I didn't need anybody else at that point. I was like, but what I really want to get to now where I'm at this 80-pound level, and my goal is 100. So I'm trying to hit that by the 1 year point, which will be around the 1st of August. And I think I can do it. And I'm not really trying, to lose weight. I'm just trying to eat healthy, stay on my program. I'm not sitting here, stressing over it. I'm eating healthy. Jeff, I'm not eating anything processed. If you go in my kitchen, everything is whole foods. Everything is whole foods. I mean, I got 3 refrigerators and they're all full of meat, and I got coconuts. That's the other thing. I try to keep my electrolytes up because I'm not eating as many carbs. And so I drink coconut water, organic, or I buy the coconuts at, Sam's Club. They sell the coconuts. And that's a great electrolyte. And it does have coconut sugar, which is a good sugar. I mean, if you can call any sugar good, they're really no sugar is good. Honey is a good sugar. They're direct, honey is glucose. And so our body is able to manage glucose much easier than it is fructose. A lot of people don't know that. So if you were to, put a little honey, I don't want people to break down and have to do that. But if they did, that would be a better go-to. I listened to a guy named Paul Saladino, and he's a carnivore, but he does use fruits and he does use honey in his diet. And the guy is ripped. I don't know. He's like 50 years old. He surfs. The guy's in amazing shape. And I kind of like that as a chef. I like the fact that now that I'm at where I'm at, I like the fact that I can find these whole foods, these things that are the best. The diet that I went on, Jeff, was called the Proper Human Diet by Dr. Ken Berry. And I was impressed because I got the book free. He didn't try to sell me it, and he's got this. It's not a very thick book, but it goes through all the foods. Like, what can you eat as far as meat? Well, you can eat anything. The only meat that's not real good is your processed meat. The cold cuts. They got all kinds of stuff in them.
Right.
Okay,
Well, yeah.
and so the best thing. Here's the good news. A lot of people can't do what I'm doing. I've been afforded, enough, financing in my life to be able to buy pasture-raised eggs, grass-fed, grass-finished beef, organic fruits, and organic vegetables if I want to have some vegetables like broccoli or cauliflower, low-carb vegetables.
So let me ask
I've
one
been
question. Would you say that these products that you just named, and you named about four, would you say they're only available in places like Whole Foods and Trader Joe's, or are they available in Publix or
They're
some
available
similar
everywhere now.
everywhere?
And you can see the industry changing. When I first started, I went in easy. The carb addiction was strong. So we moved from regular tortilla chips to the Siete brand only because they were cooked in avocado oil, which is a much better oil. It's not the best. It's better than peanut oil. It's way better than any of the seed oils. And we pretty much tried to stay on that avocado oil or uh, or olive oil. And both of those are not as good. They're good, but they're not as good as animal fat or butter or ghee or coconut oil. Coconut oil is fantastic. So we started buying those chips, all right, because we didn't want all that processed part. We didn't want all that stuff. So we started just eating whole foods. But here's what I want to say to people who don't have I can't do that diet. I don't have that kind of money. You can get on the carnivore diet, on a ketogenic diet, by just going with what you can afford. Ground beef. It's one of the best things you can eat. Ground beef or regular eggs. I know eggs have come down a little now. That's good. I think the farmers are back on it after they killed 3 million of them. Eggs have come down. But you don't have to buy the pasture raised organic. You can just get the regular eggs. Is it the gold medal? No. But it is the silver medal. It's so much better than processed foods. So you can start off, and that's where I started off. I'm like, I'm not buying all that expensive stuff. So I started off that. And then I started gaining more knowledge. And I was like, you know what? I want that good food. I want to put my money into my health on the front side, not in medicine and operations and all that. I want to build my medicine with my food. And so medicine is food. Absolutely, it's food.
And you've done that. You've literally done that. Like you said, you're off most of your medicines. Not all, probably not all of them. I don't know. I'm not your physician,
No,
but
I
you're
am.
off.
I'm off all my medicines. I take 2 supplements, Jeff, and they are natural food supplements. I take I use ancestral, and I maybe I'll get a commercial from this. I use ancestral beef liver gel tabs. I take a few of those each day, and it gets me a freeze dried liver in a capsule, a natural gelatin capsule, and that gives me the nutrients that my body might be missing. Here's a lot of things people don't like. I don't like beef liver, but beef liver is the greatest nutrient available food on the planet. Beef liver. It's
Do
got
you
it.
ever cook it or do you just take the
No,
pills?
I don't like. I'm a chef that likes every food in the world except beef liver, and maybe I'm not that kind on beets. Those are 2 foods I just one tastes like dirt and one tastes like metal. But I take those supplements, and then the other supplement I take is a vitamin D3 with K2, which I don't get a lot of sun. And, we were just talking about it. So many things we were told. You like to think that people aren't doing this just to make money and that they're just evil. You like to think, oh, okay, we're just learning more. Okay, I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt. Okay, we're just learning more. When you told my dad he couldn't eat eggs, and now eggs are the best thing you can eat next to beef liver, right? The most nutrient food on the planet next to beef liver. Eggs. They told my dad, get off eggs, go on Egg Beaters Plus. And get off, don't eat no more butter, get on canola oil, right? And butter is phenomenal. And I want to talk about this one thing, Jeff. I was leery about telling anybody. I do ministry work, and people follow me on Facebook, and I don't want to lead people astray. So I waited till I hit my 75-pound mark, and I had a number of blood tests before I ever talked about it, because it didn't seem like this was going to be healthy because of everything we learned. All these high-fat foods. Oh, you're going to kill yourself. I don't have any problem with losing my breath right now, Jeff. Like
Well,
I
I
did.
remember when you first started your new position. We don't really talk about where you're working, but you were saying, "Hey, I'm on my feet all day. I'm having trouble." And I said, "You'll grow into it. You'll get." But you've really made the difference by losing the weight. You went from, I mean, you're literally on your feet. You start your morning by preparing 20, 30 trays of food for the kids to cook, and then you were going into class, and then you were making your way around the campus and everything else, and it was
And
a
then I was
challenge.
eating desserts coming over from the class,
Right.
the finest desserts.
The best, and the next generation of the most amazing pastry chefs that'll ever be out there in the world
Right.
today. And so I like to say that this is an amazing level of dedication, but the reality is that if you said you got the book for free, you
Yeah.
said, and then, you could easily start your day with eggs and bacon, cooked in butter. Granted, you can't have toast. There's something you're
No, I
sacrificing, but it's not a huge sacrifice. You could have tomato slices. Like you said, you go to one of your favorite restaurants and you get the burrito tacos. You no longer have the tortilla. You have a lettuce wrap. But when you really unpack some of this, it's not that big a deal. So, for example, it is a big deal that the success and the dedication, the amount of knowledge you took into consideration, you used the amount of the knowledge you have that you use to consider to do this. But the average person can do it. And like you said, and then there's a trade-off. Yes, there's the initial expense, but there's also in the tail end, there's a negative expense. There's no longer the medical expenses. So this is just an incredible way of life, an incredible. So I always say, like, my wife's from Argentina. We go to Argentina. We don't eat at McDonald's. We literally will stop on the side of the road and get chicharron. That's what they cook, and it's like it's really good. So imagine if America transformed into that, where your food trucks, where
they're
your place.
transforming, Jeff.
Yeah, and your food trucks are the places where you get your food, not McDonald's. Your food trucks might just pull up next to an abandoned shopping center near McDonald's, and that's the place you're standing in line for because that's the place advertising we're carnivore diet. We're the carnivore diet food truck. We're the place that's going to create 9 different recipes that are just going to fascinate you. And yeah, you're going to take it off into a to-go box and have to go sit somewhere or at a picnic table, but it's going to be a nice part of. It's going to be. It would be an incredible transition for the whole country to actually, and I think it could happen very much so, that we're teaching our kids, like you said, don't eat buttered, and then we're finding out it's all wrong. But now we're finding out what is right, and I like that time transition that's happening.
I mean, that's a great way to put it, Jeff. I agree with everything you said there. The the issue there are two great diets that are out there. No one ever got fat eating vegetables and fruits. No one ever got fat doing that. So they're not the culprit. When you're trying to lose weight and you want to go to ketogenesis, that's why I'm saying this diet may not be for everyone, but it was definitely for me. And here's the issue, or here's the two good diets that are out there: a ketogenic diet that relies on unprocessed food, and a vegetarian diet that relies on unprocessed food. They are both good diets. I believe, because I've done vegan. I've done vegan.
Yeah, and you had success.
And I've had success.
But
I
keep in
didn't have
mind,
as much.
vegan's extremely difficult.
Well, Jeff, I have never had as good of time on a diet than grilling up a big a ribeye tomahawk and eating that instead of trying to figure out how to make a mushroom or a piece of broccoli make me feel satisfied.
And
so,
it's incredible because I hear about what you're eating. And like I said, yeah, you go to one restaurant in particular, one of your favorite restaurants. We can even say who it is, Don Julio's in Lake Mary. And you're
yeah.
having your burrito tacos that you
And I'm
love.
getting they have this sheet of chicharron that
And
I
the
can
chicharron
use.
is just fascinating to me because we get that in Argentina on the street every day.
Yeah.
And I thought I'm eating this. It's hot when we get off the food cart. And you're like,
Well, when you're looking to watch out for your carbs and you read the bag and it says 0 carbs, you're like, okay. And it crunches.
yeah, like you said, the chips in particular, that they use avocado oil to fry them. And you're not.
Right,
So
right.
that's sometimes people think like, oh my God, what am
Well,
I going to fry my own chips? Or no, they're readily available at the Publix.
it's a big ship, Jeff, but we have to try to turn it. And my life work right now is teaching kids, the chefs of tomorrow, to get off of seed oils. It's going to happen, Jeff. It's happening already. You look at the industry. In the 90s, early 90s, McDonald's, Chinese restaurants, they were all forced to get off seed oils. Okay. They pushed McDonald's. They were cooking their fries. They had the best fries because they were cooked in tallow, beef tallow, which is the best oil you can use to cook fried foods in. It's just the best. And they pushed them to get off that. Oh, we have to get off all that. No more unsaturated animal fats. But you look at what's happening today in the industry, Steak and Shake, cooking in tallow. They brought it back. Outback, cooking in tallow. I think it's Wingstop or Wing House or one of those wing places, cooking in tallow. More and more cooking in tallow. Here's the issue. When they analyzed Steak and Shake's fries, they analyzed them. They said it still has seed oil in it. And that's because they're only cooking their fries in oil. When they get them, they buy them from a vendor. And the process of making fries is a double cook method. It's what I teach my culinary students. We buy them for our restaurants in six bags per case. You probably know that from being in your
I've went
working
through a
at your
few
place.
cases in my years.
Yeah. Those fries come in already blanched in oil. And
So
so if
blanched is pre-cooked.
pre-cooked in oil. And so when we buy those cases of frozen fries, they look raw, but they're not raw. They've been blanched in oil. And so that's why Steak and Shake's fries showed that they still have seed oil on them. And we have to get that part of the industry to change. The manufacturers manufacturing these fries in a better whole food fashion so that we can make the changes in the industry and be successful. I can't believe someone didn't figure that out. So hopefully that changes. They get a vendor that can get them fries that have been cooked in beef fat the first time.
Well, I
The
mean,
only
that would
other way
be
to do the only other way to do it is to cook your fries from scratch.
cook your own, cut your own potatoes,
Yeah,
which
like
isn't the worst thing in the world, and it's not the biggest job in the world. But the thing we always face off with is the fact that we've got to get to work. We're going to make our kids a quick lunch, and we're going to leave, and they're going to be home for the summertime break. I don't know how much time people have to cook fries, but if you, like you said, we get the word out that this is the way it should be done, it'll be done. you know, Historically, I mean, I always sometimes quote Warren Buffett. He bought Kraft, the food company Kraft, with so many popular brand names, Kraft mac and cheese. The company's
yeah,
done terrible. It's just plummeted in value, and it's been a great loss to Buffett's company. But they are in the process of transitioning their products to make them more popular. So the word's out and the movement's there, and I just think it's incredible to talk to somebody that literally understands the whole process and does what you're doing, because as I break it down in my mind, what you're telling me, it's not that difficult. So when I see a morbidly obese person, I think he needs this knowledge. It's not readily available. We need to make it readily available.
the most difficult part right now is if you got to eat out, everybody's using seed oils, and it's causing the most ravaged inflammation in our bodies. It's killing our killing our butts for sure, killing our our gut biome. All these processed foods, all the things that we're putting in there, which we don't know is happening to us. We're going out here and getting our foods in restaurants, and they're I don't use it because not enough places have it. I just don't use it, but I've looked at it, and there's like apps like Seed Oil Scout, which will tell you which restaurants are serving their their products in avocado oil or beef tallow that you can find the restaurant. I think that for someone starting out, Jeff, you got to cook your own food. Yes, it's more difficult. Yes, but your breakfast could consist of, I mean, there's easy ways to make your breakfast. You can do some hard boiled eggs, right? And that's a great source of nutrients. You can have some fresh berries for fruit. You can have, um, my buddy, this is a process, but you can, the thing that I like to do, I buy mine. I buy grass-fed, grass-finished beef sticks, like Chomps or, a generic brand. And just to give me that thing I need, like 9 grams of protein in between a meal or something. And I'm not messing my body up. I'm not messing my diet up. I'll take a half avocado with me to work. I'll take a container of coconut water with me to work. I'll even have some leftover bacon and have it in a bag. And so, yeah, it takes work, Jeff. Nothing that is good is easy, right?
No, not at all. But you know what? If the movement's there, so let me tell you a little story because I love this little story. So Warren Buffett walks into a classroom of young kids, and the financial gravitas he has these kids just spellbound. And he says, "Imagine if I offer to you right now the any car you want. If I tell you it'll be in your driveway in the morning, any car, a Rolls Royce with all the bells and whistles." And the kids are like, "Oh my God!" Because it's Warren Buffett, he could do it. He could give 30 kids Rolls Royces. And he says, but it's the only car you'll ever have in your life. That's the one condition. Would you take care of it? Well, you only get one body and one mind. And that lesson only happened one time in one classroom. But the fact of the matter is, if we get Tom Kuchenreuther or instructors like you to talk to our young children and say, listen, just consider this. And we spend 45 minutes a day for a week or two talking about what's going on with their diets, what's going on with the food they buy, and the choices they make when they buy those foods. And we start at a young age. And I'm always about education on this podcast. I'm always about if we start, they say, we don't know what tomorrow holds, but we always know who holds tomorrow. If we start at a young age talking about this kind of stuff, and it's part of my momentum for this podcast, and I would love to literally go down into the weeds, get into the weeds on this topic, another podcast, and say, Tom, how do you do it? Where do you start in your morning? Where do you prep your lunch? Like I always bring snacks to work with my lunchbox. Do you do that? Because if you don't do that, are you going to resort to a vending machine? And like you said, get the wrong chips. Or are you going to resort to, oh, I've got an hour break. I can make my way over. If I take my hour break at 1:30, that's when McDonald's line is the slowest. The drive-through is the slowest. I can make my way over to McDonald's, eat my food on the way back, and make it back to work and clock in on time for my break. Time is over. So, do you prepare yourself? How do you prepare yourself with a lunchbox? And there's so much to unpack here, but the fact of the matter is, this is really what I wanted to start with today is the success that you've had. And yes, I started out, I guess you would say, arguing the point that you're the culinary chef, that you're the culinary instructor, the front of the house restaurant or manager. But you don't need all that to be a success in that this diet. You do need some fundamentals, but they're available to you.
You're absolutely right. Like I said, I talked about the silver medal. You can still do some ground beef, and you can still, at least here's one of the things. Yes, it is expensive, but when you do just teach yourself a few things, I'll buy a brisket, I'll buy a whole brisket. Okay. And I bought this last one it had so much white fat on it. I didn't, I paid for it. I didn't throw it away. What I did was I took all that white fat and I rendered it. And it's an easy process. It takes time, but you render it. I started out in boiling water and I let the fat just cook and render and render. And then after a little while, that fat that water will evaporate, and you then whole process turns by itself into frying at the end, and it fries out and you don't have any water left, but you have the fat, you have a whole lot of fat. And so I make my own beef tallow, and off of one
And then you
brisket,
can fry, and then you can literally, I mean, granted it's a process, but you can literally cut your own fries and fry your own. You can literally cut your own potatoes.
And that's the thing. If I'm going to eat a French fry, because I don't want to say I'm never eating a French fry again, but I'll make my own fries in beef tallow, and I'll do it as a celebratory event. If I'm going to have a pizza, one of the things I do, this sounds pretty nasty, but I'm going to tell you, if I have a pizza, I'll take this. It's a true story. I'll take pork and I'll grind it, and I'll maybe add some chicharron in that, what have you, and some eggs, and then I'll form it into a real thin layer, and I'll make a crust out of it. I'll actually make a crust out of it,
Well, it doesn't
and
sound
and
terrible at all. It actually sounds really good.
and, and
And
yeah, but it's not the same as pizza, okay?
but you
And
know
let me,
what? It's not the same as pizza because it's what we know to be pizza. But
yeah,
when you
but the
I
bread's the culprit. So if you can just change that one item, you can still have pizza, right?
right.
And you know what they say, Jeff? If you go to Europe, if you go to Italy, you can have pizza in Italy, and you can be gluten intolerant, and you can have pizza and not have any issues in Italy. You can have pasta in Italy or in Europe and not have any issues. There's a reason why the Europeans don't allow American grains to be sold, especially American flour, in Europe, because it's everything's sprayed in this country with glyphosate, or known as Roundup. They even treat the crops at harvest with it because it's all been GMO modified, and it's causing havoc in our society. I'm not going to debate anyone on the causes that are in our children, but if you look at from 1990 till today, they all jumped. Every single one of them. What happened in 1990? Seed oils came on the picture. When did they start spraying glyphosate and those types of things? That probably was a little earlier, what have you, or maybe it was in that time frame. But all our crops are. It's the only way around it is organic if you want to get it out of your system. And so, they say one of the worst things you can eat is a non-organic strawberry. It's like one of the worst culprits because it's so absorbent that it absorbs all the pesticides, all the bad stuff. And when you get to the store, you're like, what do I buy? The strawberries over here, which are the non-organic, or the ones that don't look all that great and red and they kind of look like they're, you know, which ones do I buy? Well, we're like kids. We're going to buy the beautiful looking strawberries, and then we're going to put all that stuff into our bodies. And, we just have to make strong decisions and say, no more, no more.
This has been incredible, Tom. This has been incredible. We talk all the time. I want you back. I want to talk more about this. I don't want to keep you
Yeah,
because I know you're heading to school. I'm headed out too.
right.
This has been incredible. This is and like I said, I think we both can agree, and sometimes we have trouble finding common ground, but we this is not that hard.
I
It's
start
not.
my I start my day out every day. The only thing I have is my coffee, and you know what I put in it? Heavy cream, not half and half, not whole milk, heavy cream. Ah, and
And
here's
no
the
sugar, right? Or
no
sugar.
sugar.
No
Well,
sugar.
there's natural lactase, lactose sugar in cream, but you have the fat in there, and that fat helps me stay on my fast all the way through my day. That little bit of fat goes into my belly. I don't have any cravings. I can see those pastries coming over, and I can prevent myself from
That's a
going in.
craving. No matter you can't be human and not crave those pastries because you're literally got 20 kids in that classroom challenged to be the best, and when they come over your way, you're literally looking at one after the other that's better and better and better and better. No, that's a craving. But
There's a,
you've dedicated yourself to not doing it. I remember you were getting bigger when you left the one job we worked together on and you went to the new job. And of course, I'm not gonna talk about where you went from to or anything, but I saw you were getting significant, concerningly bigger. So it's really not a matter of how hard it is to commit to, how hard it is to produce the food. It's a matter of the dedication and the commitment. And I just say to people, listen, if you're going to dedicate yourself I knew a young person at the age of about 19 that died from gastrointestinal. She had the complications, and so and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to talk about it. I knew this young person, and she really thought she was onto the right path, and she had been so frustrated with her weight as a child her whole life. She decided to just make this decision, and it turned out terrible. You don't have to make that decision. You don't
No,
have to have gastro bypass. You don't have to have these medicines that they're spieling out there that
there
work,
is
and they do
another way.
work. There's
There's
this
another way.
way, and we're going to talk more about it. We are going to talk more about it. I know me and Tom have. We're
Last
going to.
thing, and I got to go, Jeff, is exercise is important, but it's hard for a fat man to exercise.
Well,
You know,
and and like you said, I'm gonna let you go. Exercise can also be walking. Exercise can also be what they call rucking, walking
well,
with a backpack
here's how
on
I
you.
did it. My wife bought me $100 rebounder. It's a
You told me
mini
that.
trampoline. I have it in my living room. Before I came on the podcast, I did a couple minutes just doing my jumping jacks on that rebounder. It's low impact on my knees because I have a knee issue that I'm dealing with, and I can exercise without hurting my knee, get my whole body going, my whole lymphatic system going. I can get all that going. It gives me focus. My body starts eating the stored fat through ketogenesis, which gives me even more focus because it's the greatest energy we can have is melting that fat that's in us and using it for energy. It's greater than carbs. It's the kind of stuff the hunters back in the day would be working off of to go kill the animal. They have to be so focused to get their kill because they got to feed their family. That's how we were designed. And that's what I'll leave you with today. Ketogenesis, the proper human diet, it's the best thing. Get off of processed foods, seed oils, more protein, get sugars and carbs out of your diet if you're fat and if you're diabetic, and go on a ketogenic diet.
Chef Tom Kuchenreuther, chef, front of the house service manager for one of the world's finest restaurants and one of the world's finest theme parks, and as well as culinary instructor for one of the world's finest culinary schools in the world, sponsored by one of the world's finest theme parks. Thank you so much.
And
We're going to talk
more than
more.
all that, I'm a devout Christian.
And a devout Christian, and as well as I, and that's something we both love dearly,
Yeah,
and very dearly. But we also, when you're a devout Christian, it also teaches you the things you need to know about living a successful life, and
right,
so
right.
that's something I recommend highly.
Spiritually as
But
well.
spiritually and mentally, it keeps you sound. It really it enables you to find peace in your life. But and peace in your life is everything, really. And
Jeff, this was beautiful. Not one single argument.
not at
We
all.
we can find common ground.
We
We can
can.
find it. And
But even
actually,
when we lose that trend of common ground and we turn into sort of argumentative, if you will, we still love each other. And that's
right.
what faith brings is the understanding of how important love is, too. I mean, I can't talk like Tom can talk about the idea of spirit of faith and beliefs, but I do have it. And I love the fact that I found it.
Awesome, Jeff. Well, thank you for having me on, and thank you for giving me a platform to express my life work here. That's how I'm going forward. That's what I'm doing in my classrooms for the future chefs.
Thank you so much, Tom, for all you do, all your service, all your dedication in every direction you've gone in your life. You're extremely service oriented with your kids, with your faith, with your spiritual preachings every Sunday. And if you want to tell us about your Sunday preaching before we click out, how do you get to that?
We're on Facebook, Victory in Christ Ministries, every Sunday at 9 a.m. Eastern time. We do it live. A lot of people don't know that every week, every Sunday, we are live, and we'll have a Mother's Day message this week. And yeah, it's my life work. Between that and now this wanting to get people to respect the temple that they have, which is their body.
That's right. Thank you, Tom. Thank you. See you
Have a
Sunday.
blessed day,
Have
Jeff.
a blessed day. God bless you, Tom. Thank
Yeah.
you so much.